Hello again. It's June 26th, 2022, and time for episode 63 of Dinner from the Dining Car. Now, it's been a few weeks since I did a couple of episodes. I don't even want to get into the reasons why. Needless to say, I'm wearing a leg brace. Fun. But I won't be wearing it during the cooking tonight because it's really hot here in Burbank today, and the thing's driving me nuts. Anyhow, back to the recipe. What we're making today is you're going to get a two-fer. We're doing two recipes from the Union Pacific. We're doing their fresh spinach and mushroom quiche, and we're doing their apricot pie. Now, the quiche is simple. It's pretty easy to do. The pie, a little more complicated. So, let me go over what's in each one. Starting, you're also going to need bowls, saucepans, blah, 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 blah. And a skillet to... I'll explain in a minute. I'm sorry, I'm hot and tired. First thing you're going to need for the quiche, eggs. You're going to need 6 eggs and a large bowl. You're going to need pie shells. Now, we buy the Marie Callender's because they're just a better pie shell, and they come 2 in a package. And we're going to be using both of them. One for the quiche, one for the apricot pie. The apricot pie also have, well, I'll explain when I get to the apricot pie, but you're going to need pie shells. You're going to need about a teaspoon of minced garlic. You're going to need fresh spinach and some sliced fresh mushrooms. You'll need about half of an 8-ounce container. This is a 10-ounce bag of spinach. Oh, pardon me. It's an 8-ounce bag of spinach. And you're going to use this whole bag because you will need to put it in a skillet with a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil. Just a little, along with the mushrooms, and you're going to sweat this stuff down. Now, if you're lazy, you can use a can of spinach. Yeah, I wouldn't. If you're gonna go balls out, just go all out. Make it from fresh, like the recipe calls for. You're also going to need, to top it, some shredded cheese. That's all you'll need for the quiche. For the pie, you're going to need 2 pounds of fresh apricots. Now these, you're going to slice down. And you're just going to slice these up, and then they'll be cooked, etc., etc. You're not going to peel these. You're going to leave the peels on the apricots because it adds a lot of flavor. Then you're going to need 4 cups of sugar. Well, a 5-pound bag of sugar is heavy today. You're also going to need some cornstarch. Now, I know you're looking at the label and it looks like it says maize. No, it's cornstarch. I just happened to shop yesterday at a store that caters to Armenians and Hispanics because the prices there are so much better. I mean, it was the only place in town I could get 2 pounds of fresh apricots. Finally, you're going to need pie crusts. Now, you're going to use this pie crust come in a package of 2. You're going to need 1 to cover the other pie shell after you fill it with the quiche stuff, you know, and the apricot stuff. Or you can just grab yourself a pie tin and use both of these and make your pie shell from your pie shell. You're going to need a base pie shell, and the second one is going to be a cover that you're going to slit. Well, that's all that you need for these 2 recipes. There's not a lot of ingredients in them. The trick is the preparation. The pie is going to be the most difficult to prepare. The spinach quiche, not so much. But that's it. That's it for everything you need for this recipe. Oh, a little background. I hate when I remember it after. These two recipes were served on Union Pacific's passenger trains, the Overland Limited, the Los Angeles Limited, and some of the City of trains. They were served mostly on Sundays as a brunch option on the train. And apparently, from what I've read, were quite popular. The internet's a neat place. You can find out about anything online, just about. So, backing up again. Sorry, I'm a little discombobulated. That's it for everything you need for the recipe. And so we'll be back in a bit, and we'll start prepping and cooking. We'll see you then. Okay, folks. We're going to cut up the apricots for the pie. Now, you're going to need 2 bowls. 1, put your apricots in. 2, any juice that pours out from cutting them, you're going to want to retain in a separate little bowl. So we're just going to cut up. Moving the pits. I should move the camera a little closer so you guys can see this. Hold on. There we go. That's a little better. That's a little better. Just going to take them. Now you're going to want to remove the pits, of course. Not getting a whole lot of retained juice. That's okay. If we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. These are not very juicy apricots. I was just outside a minute or 2 ago, and here it is, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, and it's 94 degrees outside. Welcome to sunny California. You know what? You can't really see me in this, so. Whoops. Use the correct edge of the knife, stupid. Ah, there's a little juice. And unfortunately, there are 2 pounds of these bastards. That's a lot of apricots. Did I throw a pit in there? You idiot. These apricots smell wonderful. This ought to be one heck of a pie. Yes, I did wash my hands before I started cutting apricots. So, let's not get into a tizzy, people. Give me more credit than that. And I also wipe down the table first. So, do not throw the pits in with the apricots, dipstick. I don't know how it is in the rest of the country for you folks, but damn. Thank the good Lord we have air conditioning. Only 3 left. This is going a little quicker than I expected. What we have to do after we do this is we'll get out a big pan and we'll start to cook these in boiling water for just a few minutes. Just enough to kind of soften them up. After they've softened up, we're going to use some of that water that we boiled them in, along with some cornstarch. Ah, last one. Turn the knife over. So the teeth are down. You have to do it right, Tony. Come on. Get your head out of your butt. And what we'll do is, now that we have all the apricots cut, and remember, do not peel them. Now that we have all the apricots cut, we will put them in some boiling water. We'll get some water boiling. We'll put them in the boiling water, and then I'll come back in a bit when they're done, because then we start to have to making the slurry that this is going to use to make kind of a sauce that goes on top of them. So we'll be back in just a few minutes when I get the pot out and 1 quart of boiling water. So we'll be back in just a few. Okay, while my water is boiling, I have an admission to make. I misread the recipe. You do not cook the apricots. We have on the stove, over that way, a quart of water in a saucepan getting ready to boil. Now we have to put all the stuff that we need to mix into that, because it's going to make kind of a syrup. You need 4 cups of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. There's 2. There's about 3. 1 more. 4. Okay. Sugar's put away. Sugar's done. Put a rubber band on that real quick. Then over there, we'll put it away. Okay. To that, you're going to add 3/4 of a cup of cornstarch. I need to open this up. Scissors. One. There's another 1/4. And yet, your 3rd quarter. Okay. 3/4 of a cup of cornstarch. That'll thicken the sauce up without leaving it all, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Floury tasting. Ouch. That rubber band's not going to go. There you go. Alright. And to that, you're going to add a half a tablespoon of salt. Well, we're just going to eyeball it. That should be plenty. That's about a half a tablespoon. There we go. All right. Now once your water's boiling, which I believe it is, let me check it. It's getting there. Spoon to stir this up. This is going to make a damn thick sauce. Anyway, when this thickens, it just becomes like almost a jelly. You're going to pour it over the apricots in the bowl, and you're going to let that cool. It's probably going to have to cool about 2 hours because it needs to be cool when you and set when you pour it into the pie shell. And once I get this done, once I get that done, I will start sweating down the spinach and the mushrooms. Okay, the water is boiling. Let me move with the camera so you kind of see what I'm doing. Oh, that's a nice shot. Okay. Now, stirring spoon, there it is. And you're just going to slowly start pouring this into the very hot water, which is burning my hand. The flame is burning my hand here. We're going to let that boil for just a minute or two here. And you're going to wait till it dissolves. You're going to just boil it a little bit till it dissolves and starts to thicken up. You have basically, you're making basically a sweet syrup. That's going to go all over the apricots. God, I wish I had some apricot juice. Because that would go nicely in the syrup, give it some more extra flavor. I'll move the camera over here so you guys can see what it looks like. Just boiling itself away. Skim off some stuff that's on here. Now we're just going to boil this some more and just let it thicken up and become almost a syrup. Just dissolve it all. The cornstarch, the salt, the sugar. Now the cornstarch again is there to thicken it up a bit, and it's working already. I can feel it getting thicker already. And again, we have to, once this is done, I'll move the camera so you can see me do it. I'll pour the sauce all over the apricots, and then they'll sit and cool. And then when that's done, I'll come back and whoo-wee, is it hot. Yes, that's thickening up nicely. Nice little syrup. Now we have to make sure this boils again. And once it starts boiling, we remove it from the heat. And then we'll come over here and put it on top of the fruit. Sorry, trying to clean up a little bit as I go. You married guys, you can appreciate that. Cleaning up as you go. Makes the whole process a lot easier with the wife. Okay, now you'll see it's starting to boil. You want to stir it up so you don't burn it. Heaven forbid you don't want to burn your syrup. And it's thickening as it's cooking. Okay, now once it's boiled, you simply take it off the heat. And then we'll come back over here. You can see the bowl of apricots. Now what we need to do, grab my oven mitt. Give this one more final stir. No, I'm fine.
Did I talk now?
Well, I'm on camera, but you can go ahead and talk. Okay, now you take this and you just pour it, that syrup, all over your apricots. And then you're going to want to stir this puppy around to make sure these apricots get coated. Now they will tendency to cook a little bit and release a little bit of juice into the simple syrup. And that's it for prep work for the apricot pie. The only thing left to do is to get it into the pie shell and get it into the oven. Now you have to set your oven for 425 because this puppy's going to cook almost an hour, which is fine because your quiche cooks at 425 for about the same amount of time. So anyway, folks, that's it for now. We'll be back in a couple of hours once this mixture cools, and I'll get the spinach and mushrooms sweated down, and we'll see you then. Okay, folks, we're back. We have just a couple of tablespoons of olive oil heating in a pan, in a skillet, and now we're going to sweat down the spinach. See if I can get the bag open. There we go. Where's my spoon? There it is. You just add the spinach to your oil. Don't be afraid to add the whole 8-ounce bag, because this will sweat down like you wouldn't believe. You may just want to go ahead and cover it for a second or two, for 3 or 4 or 5. Because once it sweats down, now I've just started the oven. It's going to heat up to 425. The apricots, oh my gosh, in that syrup have cooled nicely. I cheated, stuck them in the refrigerator. Actually, that was my wife's idea. You don't want to ever use too much oil to sweat down spinach, because it'll just end up a greasy mess. And it won't work well in a quiche if it's a greasy mess. But if you'll notice, it's already starting to lose some of its, whoop, no, caught you. You can hear it crackling there. That's a sign that the oil's a little too hot. So we'll just lower the temperature a bit. We don't want to add much more because, again, we want it to shrivel. We want it to reduce, but we don't want it to be so oily that it just saps the spinach of all the taste. Now you can, if you want to, at this time, spritz a little salt on it, which I will do. If you'll notice, it's shrinking down. So just spritz a little salt. Yes, let me move the camera close so y'all can see it. There. Wow, that's really... There we go. You notice how it's starting to sweat down, but it's not so oily that it's going to make the quiche a mess. The recipe does state you just want to use a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. Now, you're going to take, while that's still sweating, you're going to take about 4 ounces of mushrooms. You're going to drop those in there. That's about half. Whoa, that's too much. That's a little too much olives. A little too much mushrooms. Here we go. Oops. You're going to stir those in there. You're going to leave it on a nice medium heat. And then what you want to do, once they're all stirred in, turn it down and cover it so the moisture that's in there will preserve it. Meanwhile, you come back to your table. Let me come move that over here. Whoa, that was an interesting shot. Sorry. You're going to grab your eggs. And you're going to crack 6 eggs into a bowl. Careful not to get shells into your egg mix. Four. 5. 6. Eggshells. Toss the eggshells. And put the rest of the eggs back in the fridge. And you're going to take these eggs and whisk them up. Just to get them all good and stirred. Now, if you folks will excuse me, that's it for this right now. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, folks, we're back, and we now have to take A teaspoon of minced garlic. Throw it in with the eggs. Now that's the equivalent of 2 crushed cloves. And again, whisk that all in there. All right. Help me. Then you go over to the stove. I'm blocking my own shot. That's not smart. Blocking my own shot. You have your spinach, which is wilted down along with the mushrooms, and you're going to stir that into the eggs. Now the recipe says salt and pepper to taste, so that's probably what we're going to do. I don't want to miss any of this. I have to clean that up later. The oven has beeped that it's ready. Just put all that together. Salt and pepper to taste. Well, that's usually pretty easy to do. That's usually pretty easy to do. All right. Now, excuse me, I'm going to walk in front of the camera here. Now, you want to take your eggs and spinach mixture, pour it in your pie shell. Don't worry, this will puff up a little bit as it cooks because of the eggs. Oh, that tastes good already. I've made enough quiches to know that they puff up a bit while they're cooking. Then, that's ready to go in the oven. Then you come over to your pie, your apricots. I'll wash off the spoon so it doesn't get spinach in your apricots. It would be pretty disgusting. And you're going to scoop. Just start scooping all those apricots out of there. Into your other pie shell. Evenly distribute them. Just like that. Ah, there's a spot we missed. And then you're going to pour more of this syrup on top of it. Just about enough to fill up the pie tin. Then you take your other pie shell, you cover it. You're going to crimp it together. Hope you all can see what I'm doing here. And crimp it down all together here. And then, once you get it all crimped down, you're going to grab your kitchen shears. Uh-oh, I kind of tore through it. Oh no, oh no, it tore through. No problem, we'll patch it. You need your kitchen shears. This is not going to be a pretty pie. And you're going to cut off some of the excess. Be very careful not to spill it all. Make sure again, keep crimping those edges. flatten it down pretty good. This is the part of making a pie that is kind of a pain in the rear end. And crimp it. Wind it. Cut some more. There. Some of that left over. Now, what you want to do is take a sharp knife, preferably a paring knife, because what you need to do now is I need to get another patch there because I kind of reel it. Yeah, it kind of pisses me off, but rip the pie shell. Get your paring knife, and you're going to cut slits in the top. The reason you're going to do that is if you don't, this thing as it's cooking will blow up, and we don't want that. Okay, the oven is heated. Now, that's what they both look like together. That's what they kind of look like together. There's your quiche. There's your apricot pie. Now, it's time to get them in the oven. So, walking in front of the shot again, sorry. Oven's preheated. Quiche. Oh boy, that's hot. Yeah, well, it's 400 degrees, you idiot. Of course it's hot. Apricot pie. And you will cook, excuse me again, you will cook these bad boys for an hour. So that's it. We will be back after an hour to get it out of the oven. See you then. Okay, it's about 10 minutes left. What we have to do now, oh my God, the pie's overfilling. What you smell is the drippings from the pie. Now we have to put the cheese on the quiche, which is really puffed up nicely. And then this has to take about 10 minutes to melt, and you will have a quiche. So there we go. Wow. Yeah, that pie kind of puffed up all over the place. Okay, that's it. We'll see y'all in about 10 minutes. Okay, y'all, there they are, out of the oven. There's your quiche with the cheese melted. There's your apricot pie. Now, we had a little bit of an issue in here. The pie kind of dripped some of that sauce all over the bottom of my oven, and it's really smoky and disgusting in here. So that's it. I'm not going to bother showing plating them up because these have to cool for a little bit before we can eat them. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed your Sunday. Thanks for coming along on this little trip with me. And if you have any questions, comments, smoky in here, or you want to copy these recipes, send me an email at dinnerfromthediningcar@yahoo.com. And we will see you next time we see you. Have a great night.